advertising turned to be a problem for me in general. So I have been working in advertising for 20 years now, and I have been very close to being arrested for a few times, and hopefully during my career time I will have achieved that. So today's presentation is about how to be really authentic in the land of fake, which we all know that our clients actually pay us to be fake, and to make sure that we follow and make sure that the stuff that we do are really boring. So I have grown in a city called Istanbul. It's one of the best cities in the world, and also it's the land of fake. And my father's shop, my father had a great store, an authentic store of a brand in Sultanahmet, which is the place where you find all the fake brands in the world. So I started fighting against fake when I was very small, when I was a child. When I was 13, I was going to the store and I was trying to make sure that people really cared about real stuff rather than fake stuff. But as being covered with all the fake noise, it's not really easy to be the ambassador of real. And nothing has changed really when I went into advertising. And I assumed that after that 7 years of sin in the fake world, I thought that when I went into advertising, everything would be cool, everybody would love to be real, original, and then it strikes me, nothing is original. So I'll start the presentation with a film that I did for you guys. Do we have noise? Yes.
Now, nothing is original, okay? So you can steal from anywhere. Let's speak directly to your soul, all right? Now, if you do this, your work and theft will be authentic, all right? Now, authenticity is invaluable, okay? Now, originality is non-existent. Don't bother trying to conceal your thing, or you can celebrate it, you know, if you feel like it. All right? All cardboard is fake.
So, if everything is so fake, why are we doing it? I mean, have you ever questioned, the stuff that you do? I mean, all my life I questioned every fake thing that I did, and believe me, I do lots of fake things. And trying to be authentic here is like the most nervous thing I have ever experienced in all my life. So, and what I found is, we try so hard to fake things, to be like that six-pack guy or that cool guy, and it's really exhausting. And once you get into the real stuff that makes you, then it becomes so easy. And so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is something that we did for X. What we learned through the process is X, as you know, used to have like all those gorgeous women falling from the skies, and it was the sexiest brand in the world for all guys to work on. But actually, that kind of advertising actually put men in a box and pushed us to be something that we're not. And the more we digged into the people and what they are feeling, we found out that 70% of men were feeling depressed of the kind of things that we were telling them in the ads. Although we love the ladies there, it was creating a it was putting them into a box. And what happens when you put people into a box is there are 800,000 people dying every year of suicide. And many of them are young guys who are actually feeling that once you put them in that box, they're 2 or 3 times more inclined towards committing suicide. And this is not an easy thing to talk about. For if you're a Unilever brand, if you're Axe, you're talking about getting laid, and suddenly you want to talk about real, authentic experiences. It's not easy. And so what happened is we just looked around the fake. So what is the fake of the industry? So what is the fake of the advertising for cosmetics? So this is how it looks like. This is what we see all the time on TV. Hot guys, 6-packs, huge dicks, ladies on white horses. So, you have to be Prince Charming, you have to be violent, you have to be like the macho guy who has to man up and be strong for everyone around there. And this actually creates a big issue for guys. As there are many problems around the world, you could say, is this such a big deal? Come on, guys, let them be guys, and let them get over it. But I lost my cousin to suicide, and that is personal to me. And I always thought that, I had a role as an advertising person in that loss, because I was pushing the kind of guy that he had to be. And I never gave him the liberty to express himself as he is. And this campaign, for me, is so personal because it's dedicated to him. And sorry about that. I didn't expect this to happen right now. I thought that I was over it, but you cannot. So this campaign, now I'm going to show you a music video that we did for Axe, what we did there was, there's an iconic song, of a Turkish song, which is called Boys Don't Cry. And we commissioned an artist and said, you know what, let's change the facts. Let's give them guys the liberty to cry and to express themselves. So, I will not show you the original version because you will probably not understand the lyrics and you will not even enjoy that. So, I did another version just for you guys, so you can appreciate what the message was. And what we learned is, through the media, the kind of guys that we show is not fair to guys all around the world. So, without further ado,
I know that this time I've sent too much into
hours, people started to talk about it. And for the first time, I mean, an Axe commercial, or whatever you call this, has started a conversation that was so intense, personal. A guy was talking about how when his fiancée passed away, he couldn't cry, he couldn't express his feelings. And people suddenly started to console him. On the commentary on YouTube, you can see people actually backing each other up and saying, yeah, boys can cry. And before that, I live in a very macho culture where you have to be like really the guy. And before that, there was no video of boys crying. And after that, we have like now thousands of videos of boys crying. I mean, made up of the music that we created from the shows, from the television. And there is a TV series right now being developed called Boys Do Cry. So, yes, it started creating change. And how we did it, we really don't know. I mean, it was just a feeling that we had. It was just intuitive and it was personal. And we said, you know what, we have to get into that uncomfortable zone. And of course, there was also very controversial stuff going around as well. So I used the cross-dresser in the commercial. And I was being accused of, trying to transvestite whole Turkey for that. I hate males. Which I found, was only 1% of all the great things that I heard about the campaign. So, yes, there will be haters, and they will hate you for, whenever you confront reality, people will hate you for that. But I think it's worth the risk if you can change someone's life, if you can change someone's attitude towards this. So, I'll just try to explain it in a 2-minute case video, which I hate because
hep erkeklere belli kalıplar yediriliyor. Karı gibi olma, onun gibi yapma, medyada veya başka bir yerde ön plana çıktığı zaman aslında çok büyük nefret doğuruyor.
The belief system that boys shouldn't cry is something that is usually taught to children when they are young.
They see it in the media all the time. They think this is the only option.
Çok kuvvetli, çok kaslı, duygularını kesinlikle ifade etmeyen, sadece gerektiği zaman konuşan.
So anything that they watch on screen has an effect on them.
Gittikçe şiddete meyilli, kendi gibi olmayan her şeye tepki göstermeye çalışan bireyler oluyoruz.
If, as a boy, you learn that it is okay to express your emotion, that is what real power is.
Güçlü adam, çıplak vücutlar, seks gibi değil de daha ziyade duygularını yansıtabilen erkekler açığa çıkarmaya çalışıyor.
there was, this song is from a lady. It's her only song that she wrote. And it used to say, boys don't cry in front of me. So, and we changed it into something that is totally different. And what people on internet said was, you know what, the original song is watched 4.5 million, and the remake was 12 million. So, and they said, you know what, I mean, now boys can cry. And that was really enough, I mean, to change a cultural perspective on how you can express what is the reality and what is expected of us. So I'll just go on with some other stuff that I mean, I worked for hair brands a lot, and we have seen publicists show some Garnier oil as well a few minutes ago. And I think the thing about hair is, I mean, it's so plastic and it's so fake. And this is what we do in hair advertising. And nobody really, I mean, other than the brand managers, nobody really cares about or believes in that. And something weird happened during Ramadan in Turkey. A girl was assaulted for wearing a short in the minimus. And the guy thought that he was powerful enough to bring her down and say that, you know what, I don't want you to wear a short during Ramadan. And it's not about Ramadan at all. It's just coincidental. And this really drove me crazy. I mean, I have a mom who's like always wearing shorts and going into the buses. And I always felt like, what if that was her? I mean, I should be doing something around this. And I again went to my client and I said, you know what, we have to do something about this. And it's not acceptable. I mean, no guy has the right to assault a girl because she's wearing something. And we decided to pick sides and say, if we are talking about liberating girls or their freedom to explore, we should be doing something. And we changed the script that was on air on television in a single night. So we dubbed it into another spot. It was a very fake ad, but the message suddenly became the voice of a new generation. And it began with the voiceover of the film, and then I found myself on the field marching with women, and next thing I know, I was the headline of a major newspaper in Turkey saying, who wrote the script? They are trying to, America is behind this scheme, and they're trying to liberate girls and make it controversial. So I'll just first show you what happened in the bus. This is the girl who was assaulted. And it's disgusting that a guy can think that he can do that. And we created a hashtag, and we said, you know what, we as girls will live just the way we want. And whatever you say, we will never, never, never commit to your rules. And this is the fake commercial that we changed it to indulgence.
Arkadan bir ses çıkıyor. Bunu giyersen milletin içinde rahat edemezmişim. Saçlarımı böyle yaparsam çok dikkat çekermişim. Rahat rahat evde oturmak varken çalışmak benim neyimeymiş. Şimdi eğlenmenin ne yeri ne de zamanıymış. Yoksa el alem ne dermiş? Öyleymiş, böyleymiş fark etmez. Biz istediğimizi giyeriz, istediğimizi yaparız. Çünkü özgürlük doğamızda var. Elidor.
And then this happens. And the way that they did it was through real, unaggressive, full of love singing songs, celebrating it, and I was like, oh my God, I mean, that is how women march. Because, I mean, if a guy arranged that, it would be true aggression, I mean, saying bad words to people that did that, trying to kill that guy, or, I mean, punch him in the face with their stuff. But they were just marching and saying that, you know what, this is just the way that I want to be. And I think the best part for me was not this at all. But seeing a girl in a scarf and the shorts, uniting under the same theme. I mean, whatever you do, please don't stereotype me and don't try to make me something that I'm not. If I want to be in my scarf, give me the freedom to be on that scarf. And if I want to wear shorts, you know what, we can get along very well together. And you don't make us what I mean, you want us to be. We're not divided, we're actually friends. And that actually gave us another idea which we had to do afterwards. So we decided to become the brand to empower women in a way that no hair brand has done ever before. Of course, it had to be with hair as well. So we decided to use a song, which was the song of women walking, the feminist movement, and we turned it into something like this. So now we're working on a documentary series of powerful women, and the more that we see is the way that we educate girls is the biggest problem. Because however modern we look, when it comes to a girl, we really don't liberate them as much as we liberate the guys. And whoever says that they're not doing it, they're doing it right, is wrong, because we're not. It's always about, it begins in the very first few years of their life. If we liberate their minds, give them the courage to go for it, I think that will create the difference. And my personal goal in life is to make sure that I change a mom's behavior towards a girl and a boy and act the same way. So the campaign that I'm going to work on from now on will be all around that issue. So another thing that we do in advertising is we love to show beautiful, happy kids. We all do that. And they're like having so much fun. But the thing is, the stuff that's happening around the world is not that happy. So this is how, whenever we show kids with life, it's all glitter, happiness, doing everything, dancing.
Tear-free.
I call them the privileged kids, really. But the reality is, the kids are not having necessarily that kind of a great life. So this is something that we created for UNICEF.
32 and
without zero budgets.
3 years ago. 40 is correct. But you've only solved a small part of the problem.
Daha 9 yaşındaydı. Dedesi onu 30 yaşında bir adamla evlendirmek istedi. Yani kadından ve çocuktan mal gibi bahseden bir zihin.
Araştırmalar ülkemizde 3 evlilikten birinin çocuk evliliği olduğunu ortaya koyuyor.
Child marriages. We've normalized it. We've become oblivious of the effect it has on our society. To spark the conversation, we instead gave people a simple math problem. In just hours, people who thought they had solved the math problem found they had completely neglected the bigger problem. With the power of moral conviction, the campaign quickly snowballed. A simple math problem became the moral engine driving this age problem. We've reached 7.8 million people. We collected 5 times more signatures than ever before, and a remarkable amount of funds to prevent child marriages. The age problem made an invisible problem visible.
So this was a real campaign done for UNICEF for real. I mean, it wasn't a proactive campaign devised in the agency that, oh, I want to win an award and that's why I want to do something. And the biggest issue was everyone was so chivalrous on social media, and they were like, we call them the social keyboarders. So they're like typing in, and they really don't do anything. They just talk. And we said, why don't we hack these guys and give them a real problem? And what happened was that real problem. The way that we handled that problem actually was a slap in the face, and it really worked on for UNICEF. I mean, it also worked for us in the local award shows, but I didn't even want to put on, this on award because I didn't believe that it was necessary to get an award for this. But they wanted it. There was a social responsibility award show. They wanted so bad, and I said, all right, and it won. But for me, it was all about creating awareness around some issue. So, faking it in a way is the easy way out. And as creatives, I have been to many award shows, judging them. And whenever we see a shortcut, or a stereotype, or a sissy guy, we just laugh. Or a girl, doing something with her boobs. It's funny, yeah, we get it. But I think it's time to change the jury rooms as well, and to make sure that we are becoming good examples of, stuff that we want young creatives to do, and to be a little bit deeper. I think, we are in a phase that we have to grow up and show the world that we're adults. We were great in college and great guys to hang around, but I think now it's time to leave the hunk phase and to become the great partner that we should be. And I think, we overdo the vignettes commercials. So, I think whenever you work on a GSM company or a mobile company, it's always guys having fun, girls like tweeting LOLs. I think, we have to pass that. We all know that. Come on, you don't have to show it once more. And I'm sure everyone has seen this video, but whenever I saw it, I was like, yes!
You are different. You are special.
The millennial bullshit.
We definitely get that. We understand everything about you. Especially the way you talk online. Like totes, BRB, and join the conversation. You say that, right? The point is, you are free. Free from words with vowels in them. Free from the restraints of natural hair color. Your hair is totally pink. You dance all the time. On the street, in your room, and definitely with your eclectic group of friends. Wow, everyone plays the ukulele. That's unexpected, but that's just how millennials roll, according to our thought leaders. Also, you love peace.
So I think, we have seen them enough times in our lives, and on television, on media, on social media. And what was brilliant about this was, the agency did it like from the shutters, from the stock images. And, you didn't even have to go and shoot like a hire a director for that. So that's how easy that is. And if we're inviting directors and investing on their time, let's do something that really changes something. And the thing that we found out on the youth was they are so obsessed with their mobiles, yes, that they forgot to pick up, and that they forgot to say hi or smile. Or it's a scary thing to open up to someone new and just say your name, get your number. I think my generation could be the latest generation who got girls' numbers. Now they just look on Tinder, or they just stalk on Instagram. There's no more going for that number. And it's a cultural thing. We have to change that. They have to go out there, be courageous, and get their number. And it should be a consensual thing. And she should be wanting to give her number to him as well. So when they approached us, we said, we don't want to do another fake ad. We just want to make sure that we give guys the courage to go for it. And this is what happened.
Yeni bir adım atmaya cesaretin yok değil mi? Al işte, gidiyorum. Adım atmadığın her şey gibi o da senden gidiyor. Oysa bir adım atsan ne olur biliyor musun? Sanki içinde fırtınalar kopar. Her şey oradan oraya savrulur. Önce bir boşlukta hissedersin. Sonra sıcak basar. Sanki alev alev yanarsın. Ama o adımı atmazsan sen olamazsın. Durma. Bir yerden başla. Genç güzel. Hadi.
So this was the most tweeted campaign in the year that it was on air. And as you see, it doesn't have any generic millennials. It doesn't even have like a cool kid. He's a little bit shy. Not the kind of guy that you want to see in your ad. Not the kind of guy that you want as your brand ambassador. But what we learned there was, if you want to change culture, you have a responsibility and you have to do that. And life is so weird to me. So sometimes you have to be like fake, and sometimes fake is real, real is fake. So it's like in between. So there is a ban in Turkey for alcohol advertising, and it came like five years ago. And we were like, fuck, what are we going to do? You cannot advertise a brand. What do we do? And we said, why don't we create a fake brand that we all, as you have seen, we do it great. All the Louis Vuittons that you have seen in the covered bazaar, we're really great in detailing that. So for the first time in our life, an agency worked on a fake brand for the brand that they work for. And we created a fake brand. And the beer is called Bomonti, which is where the factory of the beer, is very popular. And it just gave name to the place that it was founded in. And So, and it was born in 1890, and everybody knew that because on the bottle, the story was obvious and everybody knew about that. So we created a brand called 1890 with a factory over it. And we said we're going back to factory settings because we couldn't do any advertising, so we don't have any luxury. So this is what we're going to do. And we just said on Twitter, we're going back to factory settings, 1890. And that was it. And then we created this fashion brand of 1890, and we started to talk about how cool and hip we are. And of course, everything around it was all around the bottle, I mean, the beer openers, everything was about beer, but it wasn't also about beer. So we didn't want to get caught, because if we got caught, then it would mean that we had to change it. But we got caught, and we had to change it. So this is an obsolete brand. Anyway, and then we went into art and talked with a theater guy who was in television shows, but he decided to leave all the TV series and all the crap out there and to go back to the theater. And we found his story to be amazing, that he just had the courage to do that and going back to factory settings. And we just had a testimonial with him. So you can think, I don't want to say his name, so another one. Anthony Hopkins going back to the theater and only going on Broadway. So that kind of a guy. And suddenly he was very impressive. So this is...
Adrenalin yüksek, keyif verici, provoke edici, sert, ağzına geleni söylediğin bir kürsü aslında tiyatro. Biz birilerinin hatıra defterini oynamak istiyoruz diye bir takım yöneticilere dedik ki bunu oynamak istiyoruz. Nasıl oynayacaksınız dedi. Ben dedim havada oynayacağım. İnanmadılar. Daha sonra yine bizim dönemden hakikaten fabrika ayarlarında bir tane arkadaşımız vardı. Bu hikayeyi ona anlattı. Tabii ki kavradı. Ondan sonra oynamaya başladı. 8 yılda sürdü. Birileri parasını ben veriyorum kardeşim. Ben ne dersem onu yapacaksınız dedi. O zaman dedik ki yani biz böyle bir şey yapalım. Tiyatro bir fabrika ayarlarına döndürelim yani. Döndürebiliyor muyuz? O ruha sahip olabiliyor muyuz? O özveriyle davranabiliyor muyuz? Ben o 5 yaşındaki çocuğun merakını hiçbir zaman yitirmedim yani. Sınırsız bir duygu çeşitliliği vermiş. Bunların ne olduğunu merak ediyorum. Aklın sınırlarını merak ediyorum. Hayalin ne kadar realize olabileceğini merak ediyorum. Ondan sonra bu tatbikatı kurduk yani. Bir kere insan yaratılışı gereği yani bir karşı çıkışın ürünüdür. O yüzden kadın vardır, o yüzden erkek vardır zaten. Sıradanlığa karşı çıkacaksın, monotonluğa karşı çıkacaksın. Yani sanat yaşamınızda örnek aldığınız birisi var mı? İzini takip ettiğiniz birisi var mı? Yok. Eğer ben birini beğeniyorsam onun hayat ve çalışma prensiplerini örnek almam doğru değil yani. Çünkü o zaman özgür olmuyor. Olabildiğince saf, temiz, doğduğun gibi fabrika ayarlarında takılacaksın yani. Bunu yapmazsan eğer özgür olamazsın. Sen olamazsın. Başkası olursun.
Well received that we had to end the brand, I mean, afterwards, because we became the voice of opposition, we became the voice of freedom, and to whatever happens, never going into what they are trying to limit you. So it was, being unlimited this was the brand for being unlimited to any bands out there. And we also did sponsor film festival for this one, and they were closing down the theaters in Turkey. So and we said, all right, if you do that and if you act with your brain, we will not be only working with our rational brains. We will be all replacing it with hearts. And this was what killed us, killed the new brand. Now we're creating another one, so.
Kariyerim her şeyden önce gelir.
Çocuk musun? Ne hayal? O sinemada para mı kazandırıyor? Kapansın. İki araçla doğa mı olur?
So I think, it is really hard. Whenever they say things about Trump, I always say, you know what, 14 years ago, I've been there, yeah, and now I accept that. And I'm not ashamed anymore. I think I passed that. Now it's time to act on what you can do for your freedom and you as creative. I don't think it's only about Trump, by the way. Let's not make it into a Trump story. I think it's all about what the world is going around right now. So, yes, there will be people with bad ulterior motives. And yes, they might be in positions of power. Yes, they don't have, they will try to limit you for something that you do. But as creatives, as rebels, as unacceptors, I think we have the right to tell stories that we will always be about the freedom that we want. And I'll just, finish with, again, a personal story. When I decided to quit my job with my father's business, he was devastated. He hated me. Really hated me. He was like, he didn't accept the fact that he thought that I was just messing around being in advertising. So it was just, for me, it was just like partying, going out, like yesterday night Joe, yeah, we all know that. And it happens, but he felt alone, he felt deserted. And when a bank, which is the same bank that we've heard about, BNP Paribas in Turkey is called TEB, decided to make a spot about the factory owners, I just dedicated this to my father. And it's, again, a very personal story because I lost my father as well. How he felt actually inspired me to write such a story. And that is, again, something that I had to face because it was all about what I did to him. And it was my way of saying sorry to him.
Yol, senin yolun. Adım adım var ettin sen her şeyi. Yük, senin yükün. Sırtında fedakarlıkların, hayallerin. Karşına zorluklar çıksa da zırh oldu önünde ümitlerin. Kahramanı sensin bu hikayenin. Ve her kahraman gibi meydan okudun her koşula. Bazen sen yola karşı durdun, bazen yol sana. Hafifleyecekti bu ağır yük, zamanla kolaylaşacaktı hani. Günler bitti, yol bitmedi. Yine bir yol, yine yalnız. Çektiğin bunca yükten sonra en güç karar vazgeçmek değil miydi aslında? Vazgeçme. Danışmanlarıyla Evanka bu topraklarda kobilerin yanı
always this gloomy and dark and boring person. I didn't want to end it. I mean, I wanted to end it here, but I couldn't because I have to go light-hearted, and Joe promised me that he would sing up this stage. So I want to just end with a different thing. So just I want to feel good about being here, and I want to thank all you guys for listening to me, for giving me the chance to talk. And I think, what we're good at is creating worlds, and even if it's fake, it can be real. So the great thing about us is we make sure that it's not generic, it tells a story, it makes something, it makes you feel something. So I want you guys to remember this day, that you were feeling good today, that you felt like you were inspired. So let's end that with an upside down world where there is no monsters, Stranger Things.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
So I want to say, please keep it real, whatever you do, and thank you for bringing me here. Thank you for listening.